So it's the very first Chewy Ramble with these beautiful new mats in the background. They're so pretty. Some people, they buy expensive TVs and cars and things like that with their money. If I get a little excess money, buy new mats for everybody to roll in. Anyway, the question today is about rolling with bigger, stronger people and getting a technique to work against them. So the question comes from Anthony. He says, would it be possible for you to make a video covering how a weaker person can finish a Kimura against a stronger person? I've been training for about 5 years now, and the Kimura is a move I find myself going for a lot. I can usually make it work against the smaller people or the people of the same size as me in the gym, but when I go against some of the heavyweights in my gym, it just seems impossible. There's one guy in particular who always leaves his arms out and open, and I can get the grip, but I can never finish it. And he goes on to ask about some different questions about it, but again, that's kind of the bones of the question. And so Anthony, thanks for the question, brother. And I think that this is a skill that we all want in Jiu-Jitsu. Everybody in Jiu-Jitsu wants to be able to roll with a bigger, stronger person and use the techniques effectively against them. I mean, it's part of the mythology and the sort of the ethos of Jiu-Jitsu, right? Technique trumps strength. Technique and skill always beats strength and power, right? That's kind of the idea. Even like a lot of us that grew up during, my day when I was younger, watched Hoist Gracie just beat all these big, strong guys. And it was like eye-opening for us. And so a lot of people want that skill. But the thing is if you want to be a giant slayer, right? If you want to slay the giants, you've got to be willing to walk in the land of the giants. And what I mean by this is years ago, our morning class, we called it the land of the giants jokingly, because everybody in that class for some reason was just 200 plus. We had guys everywhere from 200 to 270 pounds, just these big, giant guys. And then routinely there would be one small guy named Thomas in there. Now there were other small guys, but a lot of times Thomas would be the smallest guy in the class. He was 130 pounds. And he would come into class and be the small student in the class by 100 to 200 pounds. And so he was forced to roll. He was forced to drill. He was forced to get smashed by big, strong guys. But he developed a very valuable and desirable skill, right? He got the ability to take techniques and make them work against those big dudes. So now, like when he rolls, I've seen him beat guys that are 230 pounds. I've seen him beat guys that are 330 pounds. His triangle choke is his submission of choice. And I've seen him triangle big guys. And that's a skill that everybody wants, right? But it came about not because he wanted to so much, as it was because he had to. It was out of necessity, right? He put himself in the situation because he could have stopped coming. He could have just been like, I'm not doing this. This is frustrating. I'm quitting, right? But he kept coming to class. And so again, he's there. He's forced with the opportunity in the situation where he's going to have to figure out. He's going to have to either get tough or quit. And it's like the difference between haphazardly learning a language, right? Like maybe I get a course on how to speak, a particular language, and I just kind of watch it sometimes, but I don't really practice it. I don't put myself in situations where I'm forced to speak it. I just kind of look at it. I'm not going to learn the language. But if someone was to take me and then drop me off into, a country that speaks this particular language, I'm going to be forced to learn it. I'm going to probably learn it pretty darn quickly. And so it's the same thing in Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of times people love the idea of being able to roll with a bigger, stronger guy and be able to beat them. But then when it comes time to drill, when it comes time to roll and comes time to actually get smashed or whatever by the bigger, stronger people, they kind of shy away. They're like, I don't want to roll with them. And they make excuses about why they don't want to do it, right? And I get it, I understand. But if you want that skill, you've got to put yourself there. You've got to be willing to do that. You've got to be willing to go after those big guys. And you have to make sure that you take on the problem-solving mindset. Because I've seen people a lot of times, and I get these in the questions, people will roll with a bigger, stronger person, and they'll either take on the mindset of, guy's just strong, he's just powerful, and they make excuses about why it's not working. But then, I've been in situations against much bigger people, and I can watch guys like Thomas. I've got other guys in the gym like Scroggy and Mike, some of these smaller guys that were in the land of the giants back in the day. I want to keep saying it like that. And they were coming to these morning classes rolling with these bigger guys, and their mindset was, all right, let me get my elbows up here. Let's figure this thing out. I'm going to figure this problem out. I'm going to accept the challenge that's been pressed upon me. And so, Anthony, with your question, brother, how do you make the Kimura work? Well, it sounds like to me you've got the guts of the Kimura working for you, right? It's working against people the same size, so the technique's probably there. But there's a lot of times when you have a technique and you're trying to make it work against a different style or a different body type, a lot of times there's little adjustments that are needed. And a lot of times it's like a sensitivity that comes with the body, like a sort of intuition that you get from trying it out more often, right? So my sort of advice, to you would be, from my own perspective as a coach and from my own experience as a, person that's rolled against some really big guys, is to roll with those big, strong guys more. Try to drill with them more so you can get used to see what it feels like to actually handle the person's body and their arm, right? Just do as much as you can with that person. and be willing to get smashed by them. And when those things come, don't get frustrated if it doesn't work. Expect it not to work very often, but understand that, again, every time you take a swing, eventually you're going to hit it, right? Like, if the guy starts, I'm terrible at like baseball. I'm terrible at every ball sport. But if I had a bat and someone starts throwing balls at me, right? Eventually I'm going to swing. Eventually I'm going to hit something. It's the same way for you, right? It may not work right now, but if you keep going after it, eventually you're going to start to like figure it out. And it's not necessarily like a little detail that I can show you right off the bat. It's something that your body has to feel so that you can kind of figure it out. It's a certain intuition or a sensitivity that you develop from doing it more and more. So my advice to you is to drill, roll, and get smashed by those big guys more and more so that you can get more opportunities to figure out how to make it work. So, Anthony, thank you for the question. And guys, I'll talk to you next time.